Hello, Aquarius. Thank you for coming back. If you're a returning subscriber, nice to have you back. If you're new to the channel, then thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to like and share or like and subscribe. This is a general reading, so it may apply to you, or elements of it may apply to you, or it could apply to somebody else that you are close to at this time. So, you could be seeing elements of what I'm saying actually in playing out in their life, and that is a way of spirit to guide you in some way, to be of help perhaps to others at this time. So yes, it's a general reading. If you have strong influences in your birth chart associated with another sign, perhaps a moon or a Venus or an ascendant, then you can cross-watch to my other videos to get further insights and information. As I said, I use the 12 houses of the zodiac. I've already shuffled and laid out the cards, and as they appear in each house, then those are the influences that are coming to bear at this time for you. So now in the first house, we have earth element stability, and the first house is everything to do with yourself, your physical body, your appearance, your vitality, your life force. It's also your the first impressions that you make on other people and how other people perceive you. So it's your personality and your characteristics. And your physical body, how you appear to them. It's also what you project outwards as well, which can have quite a bit to do with your ascendant as well. So it's also your self-oriented interests, anything to do with you and yourself. Now, with earth element stability coming in, there seems to be a bit of a theme this month. Certain elements are popping up in your chart, which is associated with certain areas perhaps of your nature, which is related to stubbornness, fixed views, which may be holding you back in some way. So fear of change, or just don't like change at all. So it's kind of hanging on to those ideas, and they may be preventing you from actually moving forward in some way, holding you back. There could be areas of like materialism, being overly materialistic or being concerned with that. Perhaps you're facing some sort of shift and you now need to let go of a few things, and that may be holding you up in some way. Or it could be like hoarding, hanging on to things because they have something associated with them, and really they don't serve any purpose anymore in your life. So just be aware of that, because it's coming up in your first house, which is to do with yourself and how you are moving forward in the world, your personal independence. It's coming up in your 12th house, which is your house of the unconscious as well. And these are unconscious motivations and drives which may be affecting you at this time. So just be aware of that. With this earth element card in your first house, it's also about digging deep to find your strength. And it's also about sort of measured actions, methodical, practical actions, building a solid base for future success. So this is basically like one brick at a time, to build something really, a really solid structure, so that so that will always be there for you. You may also be having to exercise patience, and as I said, slow, methodical movements, with whatever it is that you're doing in the first house. It's also about trust. This card is also about trust of yourself and trust of others, and trust of the process, because it may be slower than you are used to, or what you like, or it could be too slow. In other words, it's holding you back because it's just taking so much time, and what you're trying to do may be taking too much time, and you may be needing to let things go a little bit, to move things around, to change. It could also be really on a practical sort of level, where you need to just spend time in nature, and to balance yourself, balance your energies, time with your hands in the soil. So that's gardening, or some kind of earthy activity, or activities where you are building physically with your hands, or some sort of grounding activity. Very, very helpful for you at this time. So lots of time in nature, in your garden, walking on the earth. This card can also bring in meeting the right people. So you could be making very useful contacts at this time. And it could be that you are going to be going into a business, or you want to go into business at this time. And therefore your fresh ideas and fresh approaches are going to be very important in order to move you forward. Then in the second house, we have Black Moon Lilith mystery. So this is the second house is your house of your income, your money coming in, however it comes to you. Also, it's the house of your self-worth, and also your values, what you value in yourself, what you value in others, and your value systems. So this is all about ownership as well, your possessions, what you actually own physically. So with Black Moon Lilith mystery coming in, it's like you're waiting for something to happen in this house. So it could be to do with money, but sort of unknown factors are at play. So you don't have all the facts yet. Not everything has been laid out for you. Not everything has been revealed. It's kind of like there is a bit of a mystery going on. There could be undercurrents going on where there's stuff happening, but you can't actually put your finger on it. You're just not sure. It could also be that you need to remain steadfast about something as well in this house. This is a sort of a darker feminine coming in, but it's also there's quite a lot of control and power in this house. And what it could be bringing in for you, either you are going through this, since this is to do with your self-worth and your values. It could be you going through this, or you are seeing it around you in some way. Where again, this is about hanging on to emotions, hanging on to feelings which are not serving you at this time. So it's a kind of hoarding, which came up in your first house, and also in your 12th house, which is the house of unconscious. So you could be hanging on to old feelings, or feelings of like resentment, rejection, being overlooked, or envy, or guilt, or fear, or anger. So it could be fear of change as well, or just fears in general, or anger over something, or feeling slighted in some way. And it's kind of got vengeful feelings attached to it. There could even be rebellion going on in there as well. So it's a whole range of those deeper emotions which require, which all come from fear, actually. So they require a healthy outlet of some kind. So whether it's gardening or spending time in nature, either one of those two is going to help you a lot. So don't hang on to emotions like that. Don't let them fester in you for whatever is going on around you. As I said, it could be that you're seeing this in somebody else. It's best to exercise this and get a healthy outlet for this, get it under control, because if you don't get it under control, it could undo a lot of good work that you've already, plans that you've had in place and work that you've been doing for some time. It could all just fall away because of one slip up somewhere along the line. Then in the third house, we have void of course moon missing. So this house is your house of communication. So it's communication with people in general. Could be the public, somebody that's close to you at this time, so a significant relationship. It's also to do with people sort of that are associated with you in a sort of a family setting. So this is cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings, relatives, and it can also be neighbors. So in your environment, your actual neighborhood. It's communication of all kinds. So this is written, verbal, body language, and it can also be covering documents and contracts of all kinds. All right. So this is important because when this card comes in, it's saying to you that you need to just stay as you are for now. So this is a time for rest. It's a pause period. So rest, sleep. You can dream about what you want to do, but just hold on to any plans now. Don't initiate anything right now. You need to hold on to your plans and think about them. Plan a little bit, but don't initiate at this time until the energies have shifted. So don't initiate any important actions or signings or things like that until the energies have shifted. Normally, the void of course moon is not a long period that it takes place. It's normally between signs when the moon's changes sign very rapidly every two to 2.5 days. So, but when it comes to a general reading like this, it could be a period of a week or maybe more during the course of the month, or it could continue for longer. But just watch the energies, be careful, just see how things go. If you can postpone certain things, then do so until you feel for certain that things have shifted and that things are working in your favor now. But it's about just being quiet right now, staying as you are in your normal routine, no initiation at this time. And this is being echoed actually in your 11th house as well, because this similar kind of energy is coming up. You've got Mercury retrograde in your 11th house, which is your house of friendships, hopes and dreams, your wishes, your personal hobbies and interests, and also contacts and networks and groups that you are involved in. So some kind of communication is you're being told to just hang on to it for now, just wait a while. This house is also about short trips, local trips, so possibly just avoid going anywhere for now at this time. Then in the 4th house, we have Neptune sacrifice. So your 4th house is your house of home, your physical home. It's also the atmosphere in the home, the people in your home, and it's also your relationship with your ancestry, your roots, your foundation, your ethnic identity, that whole family, your whole tribe, your whole family setup, where you've come from, your foundation. It's your relationship with that whole scenario. So with Neptune sacrifice coming in, there's a few sides to this card. It could manifest in a number of ways. I'm just going to go through them and then you can see how it's going to play out for you. So this is a card very much of retreat and meditation. So taking time out, so maybe spend time at home quietly, just thinking about things, and just retreating from things in general, just to get your energies together. It's also about accessing imagination, and it's almost like connecting with the divine as well in some way. So that could be in a number of ways. Perhaps you do art at home, or perhaps you're involved in activities at home, or you just need to spend time going through your imagination and sort of putting things down on paper. If you're right, it could be that. It could also be that the arts, as I said, the arts are coming in for you, or your artistic pursuits in some way may be highlighted for you at this time, because this is a very good time to be accessing all that through Neptune. It's also a time for pursuits to do with film or filmmaking, or perhaps you have people like this in your home currently, but it's to do with film and also glamour or glamorous people. And it's that whole industry around that could be coming to visit you in your home in some way, or you could be involved in some way, or perhaps you have somebody visiting you at this time who's involved with that. This card is also a card of sacrifice, as it says, but this is normally some kind of sacrifice for the greater good. So you may have to do without something for harmony in your home, or just for in terms of a greater plan that you might have. So something to do with that. It's also the card of confusion, or a situation which is unclear, like a veil has been drawn over something. You just can't see a clear path, or you can't quite see what it is you should be doing, or there are circumstances in your home which are not clear. Could be people in your home. So just make sure that you are clearly communicating with whoever's in your home at all times, so that there are no misunderstandings coming in there, because you may be subject to illusion or sort of some kind of deception. As I said, things may be veiled at this time. There could be emotional games going on as well. So just be aware of that. This card also can bring in sort of exposure to toxins and allergens in the home. This is toxic substances. It could be your cleaning substances that you're using in your home. Get rid of the toxic stuff, go for the natural stuff, things that are not going to build up in your home and create allergies. So any negative substances in your home. So these could be medicines of all kinds that are just not right for you, or it could be, as I said, some kind of toxic substances which are sort of releasing themselves into your environment, or you're using them on a daily basis and they're just not good for you. It could also be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be anything to do with that, any kind of addictive substance in your home, or just an addictive atmosphere. All of this needs to be cleared away and sorted out, and it just may be coming in some way, shape or form in your home. It could also be that you may be needing to live near water, or you are living near water, or you would like to live near water, which may come in for you. Then in the 5th house, we have Saturn Truth. So your 5th house is your house of, it's the house of sort of outgoing activities, fun, recreation, any kind of activity which is enjoyable for you. It could be sports even, but it's also the house of children, your children or somebody else's children that you're associated with at this time. It could be a relative or a family member, or you could be a teacher. It's also the house of love affairs and all activities around that. And it's also the house of your personal creativity, how you apply yourself to that, or you could be really a creative person and be using those as part of your profession. So now with Saturn Truth coming in, this is not an especially fun card. So you may just find that you have some kind of restrictions around you at this time, which are, may not allow for you to be doing many fun activities at this time, or you're involved in a sports activity and you've had to cut back, or you restrict yourself in some way. It could be an old injury or something that you've had to tackle, or perhaps a lack of funds, something like that. This card is also always about responsibility and wisdom. That is the ultimate game with this. Responsibility and wisdom, and also maturity. All right, so you may be needing to bring this in some way, shape or form in your house, this house, or it could be coming through to you via your children. So you're seeing it in some way. Perhaps you need to, they need to bring in responsibility and a bit of wisdom to what they're working with, or perhaps you have to guide them with that. Perhaps they're maturing now and realizing certain things. You or them or whoever's in this 5th house could be facing difficulties at this time. So some sort of disappointment or a truth now needs to be faced in some way. This card is also about releasing what is not working for you or for your children. So, or in the love affair, or it could be some activity that you're involved in. So releasing what is not working, because anything that doesn't have a very good, strong, solid foundation will crumble with Saturn around. This card is also about bringing systems and structure in to this environment, to this 5th house environment. Systems, structure, and once you bring those systems and structure in, then that creates harmony and the solid foundation which you require to build success from. So, as I said, this could be very much children related at this time. It could also be that there is a father figure or some sort of older male figure which is going to be very helpful at this time in this house. It could be a mentor, or it could be a teacher figure, but a solid person, structured person, systematic person, very Capricornian, or it could be a lover, a love affair that you're entering at this time with somebody who's older, well established, got a good reputation, and so on. It could be coming in that way. Then in the 6th house, we have fire element desire. 6th house is your house of work. So this is workplace, your work colleagues, your work routines, your work projects, and it's mastery of your craft, whatever it is that you do. It's also the house of health, diet, lifestyle, which are all interrelated, and also the house of pets. So with fire element desire coming in, this is asking you to act assertively in some way. So you need to be, perhaps you need to get upfront with someone to get really clear about what is going on, how you're moving forward, what's happening. So some sort of clarity is required, but you're going to have to sort of give them a nudge, act assertively in this situation. It could also be that you're facing quick changes of some kind in this house. So quick changes, you could be wanting to get started with something that came up in your 1st house. Perhaps you're wanting to start a business and you're now finding the courage, which is what this card is about. It's the courage, the enthusiasm, a fire has been lit. So now you get that urge to go and jump in and do what needs to be done. There could be a new start after the past has been burned away. So something could be really just cleared away completely, slate cleaned, and now you start something new. It's also the card of honesty. So this is about being honest about what needs to be done, honest with yourself and how you need to progress. It also has issues to do with control. There could be control issues going on. Perhaps you have a bossy person, or sort of some sort of bossy situation going on in your work life. Or you could have be dealing with somebody's ego, their ego or your ego is getting involved. So it's bossy people, sort of egotistical issues, and then there's control as well. So that needs to be controlled. You need to control those issues. And if it's somebody is being bossy and egotistical, then you need to get up front with them and sort that out. When it comes to health and diet and lifestyle, all sorts of issues to do with the fire element. So this is sort of rushing around, which can come in with the fire element. This is headaches. This is rushing and having accidents because you're rushing. High blood pressure. Sort of just overdoing things too much. Just making things unnecessarily rushed and overdoing things. So watch that. Could be, as I said, blood pressure, headaches, and small accidents, bumping yourself or falling, or even car accidents, possibly because of the jumping ahead situation with this. So just be aware of that as a health and diet issue. Then in the 7th house, we have Virgo, I analyze. So 7th house is your house of relationships, close personal one-on-one relationships. So this is a love relationship, or it could be a business partnership, or somebody else that you're close to at this time. Virgo, I analyze comes in, it could be a couple of things coming in for you, but it's basically, what it's asking you is to focus on the more positive aspects of the Virgo sort of personality, if you want to call it that. So this is about being conscientious with your partner, helpful and useful actions and advice. So Virgos are wonderful at sorting things out, weighing up, evaluation, deciding, what's going to work, what's not going to work. There's figures involved. There's sort of quantifying going on, analysis going on. So they're very good at that. But it needs to be sort of done in a helpful and useful way for your partnership. You need to get organized as well. This comes in with this energy. So organize your environment, organize your home, organize wherever it is that you interact with this partner or this person. And free up your energy. So declutter your environment, declutter the home, declutter however it is that you are interacting. It could even be an emotional declutter going on to free up energy. Because as soon as you get rid of the stuff that's no longer serving you, whether it's emotional or material, as soon as you get rid of that, then new and fresh energy comes in, and that will certainly improve the relationship in a myriad of ways. You may also need to just deal with health issues at this time, or lifestyle issues around that, and sort of clean up your environment. And as I said, with the toxins and things that came in, or the having things in your home which are just not good for you, clean up your home. Get rid of all the toxic stuff. Go a more natural route. Change to natural health, more natural cleaning methods, things like that, because toxins may be very prevalent in your home at this time, and they may be affecting your relationship big time and your lifestyle. Okay, so this card is also about avoiding excessive worry or worry about things, overthinking, criticism, nitpicking. Things like that may come up for you in the 7th house. You want to aim for a clear-cut communication, helpful and useful actions, but not criticizing somebody so that they feel down in the dumps about what's going on, or they don't feel positive about your relationship at all. So just bear all that in mind. Then in the 8th house we have Aquarius, I know. So 8th house is your house of your material and emotional resources that you are merging into a partnership, whether it's a love partnership or a business partnership. So it's the merging of you two together into one sort of organism, if you want to call it that. So it's merging of all of that. It's also the deeper sexual side of your commitment. This is a committed partnership, this, and all the issues around that. And it's also it has the eighth house has birth and death elements to it. So it's the cycles of life. So it could be an ego death, and then something comes out of that, which is a rebirth of some kind, or it could be a renewal or a regeneration. So it has big cycles going on in it. So sex, death, and rebirth all are elements of the eighth house, but also it's the house of big finance. So this is the house of insurances, investments, banking, accounting, tax, assets, and inheritances, and also legacies, things like that. So all of those elements coming in. It's also the house of dealing with other people's money. You may be involved in that as a profession, or you're doing it on behalf of somebody. So issues may come up around that. And so with this card coming in, you may be getting glimpses of the future, or visions of the future, whether this is for yourself or for your finances that you're involved in, or it could be your relationship that you're involved in, or your partnership. You're getting almost like flashes of insight of what is coming up for you, or in this partnership. So it's a kind of inner knowing. So it's very helpful when you're dealing with finances as well, or seeing which way things are going. You're going to get information on that. You also could be tackling new things in some way, or you may have to approach things in a new way. You could be required to be broad-minded at this time as well. You could be meeting people from all parts of society, so they're going to be very different from you. They're going to be very different in their outlook, who they are, how they conduct themselves, their sexual orientation, or they could be different race or a different religion, all kinds. They could just also be very unconventional and unusual. Or cutting edge, all right, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is very much cutting edge, futuristic stuff. So they could be just very highly evolved when it comes to technology. Or you could be getting involved in unconventional activities, or you're following an unconventional path. Perhaps you're seeing a flash of the future, which is showing you something that you can do financially, but it's not something that everybody else is doing. This is something that you can do and follow, and it could bring you really good results. This card is also about technology and electronics, science. So it's elevated, it's futuristic, okay? Or it could just be a serious upgrade from what you have been using up until now. If you're wanting to launch something, or you're going to be going into something, a new idea, or something you want to do, you're going to get support from friends and alliances at this time, okay? It could also be just that in this house, if none of that is applying for you particularly, it could also be that you just need to bring in reasoning to this house when it comes to looking at your finances. Bring in reasoning, be unemotional about what needs to be done, and to make decisions. It could also be, as I said, with the merging into a partnership, to be reasonable and to apply your reasoning faculties, and don't make things necessarily on an emotional basis. It could also be the other way, where you are required to do that and you're being completely unemotional about everything. That is an Aquarius trait, so that could be applicable for you at this time. So you're just going to have to see how it is that you're interacting in this house. Then in the ninth house, we have Mars Force. So the ninth house is your house of all things international. So this is the world meeting you, or you meeting the world. So that's international travel, import, export, foreign, anything foreign. It's exposure to that in some way. It could be a business that you're involved in. You could be traveling there, or you want to travel there, or you're just interested in international things. It could also be, this house is very much about adventure and exploration of all kinds. So this could be in the mind as well, or just emotionally, or physically. So adventure, exploration, freedom, finding meaning, and gaining wisdom. It's also it can be the house of faith as well, because the ninth house covers further education and studying. So this is university level and adult education. It's also the house of philosophy and religion and belief systems. So this is where the faith and the wisdom comes in as well. It's also the house of teaching, publishing, and promotional work of all kinds. It's also the house of law and the higher courts. And if it applies to your relationship to your in-laws. So with Mars Force coming in, this is saying to you, this is the warrior or action energy. So you need to decide which way you're going to go here, or it could both be coming at you. So it's the warrior energy, which is where you need to protect, defend, challenge, or compete. Okay, that could be coming up for you in this house. Or it's the action energy, where it's the get things done. This is Mars is your get things done planet. Okay, it's disciplined. You need to be disciplined about it. It's decisive action. It's moving ahead. In whichever way you want to look at this, is about moving ahead on something. But you may, as I said, with a challenge coming up, you may have to defend or protect your interests in some way. You may also, with this card in this house, may have to move quickly on something. So this requires your passionate response, your immediate response to get on it quickly and make it happen. You could be involved in sports and games as well at this time, or the law or military may be coming in for you at this time. But whatever it is, it's about going after what you want or protecting what you have. Then in the 10th house, we have Leo, I will. So your 10th house is your house of career. It's your house of your fame, your reputation, and your public status. It's also the house of authority figures of all kinds. So with Leo, I will coming in, this is bringing your creativity front and center. So this is a very, very creative card. So if you need to be harnessing that at this time in your house of career, or in your, perhaps you're, in a sort of position where you're in the public forum. So it's about harnessing your creativity, and stage work could be important for you, or you could be going into that in some way, or it could just be you're entering a public arena of some kind where media is involved, or a public forum, or like a conference or something like that. So it's you, in a higher level, being seen, being noticed, being the center of attention, or the spotlight is on you in some way. It could also be that children are involved, so perhaps you work with children, or you teach children and you're now involved in that, and perhaps something that you've been working on is now being noticed. You're in the center of attention, you're in the spotlight. It's about standing up and being counted, this card as well. So there will be growth in reputation and career. It's also about honor and strength, not arrogance, okay? Honor and strength, stepping up and showing people what you've got. It could also be that you need to be more spontaneous with things that are going on in the 10th house. You need to live in the moment and just go with it and put your best foot forward. So, sort of a public forum, publicity, people that are involved in harnessing talent, so talent, sourcing talent, things like that. So people who resource that for others. So it's about, if it's not you in the spotlight, then you're harnessing people who are in the spotlight. So you could be involved in some way. So that's where the fame comes in. Perhaps you're dealing with people who are like that, who have that behind them. It could also be that you're involved with an authority figure of some kind who is very Leo-like. They're very out, sort of love to be the center of attention. They're very creative people, sunny and warm people, and just enjoy being out in the public forum. Then we have in the 11th house, Mercury retrograde reinvention. So as I said to you, this is linked to your 3rd house, which is your house of communication and contracts and documents. This is your 11th house is your house of friendships. And it's the house of your personal hopes and dreams, and also your hobbies and interests. And it's also the house of networks and contacts of yours. And groups, any group that you're involved in, whether it's a society, an association, a club, any kind of club, anywhere where you are involved with others in some kind of mutual endeavor. It could also be, it's also to do with global consciousness, group consciousness, social reform, and so on. So with Mercury retrograde reinvention, what it is saying to you at this time is just avoid big actions or launching new things. When it comes to your contacts or your networks, or perhaps it's a hobby or an interest of yours, just avoid taking action at this time, because with this card, it's a very unpredictable energy and things can go really wrong, or they just don't work. You could get seriously off track with something as well, or there's delays, or there's frustrations and so on. So it's also about being very careful with communication at this time. So this could be with a friendship of yours, or with your networks, or in a group situation. Just be very careful with your communication. Double and triple check everything, particularly in the written sphere. So this could be an email that goes awry, or a misinterpretation of some kind, or somebody misunderstands you completely. This can happen very much with Mercury retrograde. So there's kind of a wobble with communication in general. And, you know, sort of any big actions or sort of going big just could go horribly wrong at this time. So just stay as you are for now. If you can, hold off on anything like that. Just go back to the drawing board, because more than likely, with whatever that is you were planning to do, something needs to be revised with it. So it's something needs to be gone over again to pick out something that perhaps wasn't right the first time around. So this is a very, very good time to revise your plans, to review, to rewrite, to just go over something again. Anything with a re in front of it. It may even be reinvention, okay? So anything with a re in front of it, just, you know, it's going back to the drawing board to look at something again, because whatever you do the second time around will be better, much better. Back up your computers, back up any form of technology that you may be using in this house, because it can also go on the fritz. You could lose stuff. So this card can also bring in people or friends from the past. So they could be coming back into your environment at this time. Then in the 12th house, we have Taurus, I have. So with this card in your 12th house is your house of your unconscious self, your unconscious drives and motivations, anything deep, okay, that perhaps is not even acknowledged fully. It's also the house of retreat and withdrawal, solitude, reflection, so spending time on your own. It's also the house of your spiritual life, so your deeper spiritual motivations, what you understand, your belief systems, your meditation, your mysticism, healing comes into this as well. It's also the house of escapism of all kinds, and addictions of all kinds. It's also the house of service. So you may be in a service environment, or you may be wanting to do that in some way. So the house of service, 12th house. It's also the house of karmic lessons, and meeting twin flames as well, believe it or not. So now 12th house, with Taurus I have coming in, I feel this is connected to the first house as well. We had the earth element coming in there as well. So this is, again, I'm going to reiterate it because it may very well be in you, being an Aquarian. So let go of fears about change and trying new things. So it's that stubbornness, the digging in of the heels, unwilling to change things that have been in place for a long period of time. So you may be needing to move something or change something, or you may be wanting to move. Or have to move, or you may have to change or shift something in your life which you're really not too keen on, but it's a requirement. So how you approach the change really will set the tone for everything. So let go of fears about that. Releasing old fixed views about things, or stubborn ideas, or any kind of materialistic or hoarding traits that you may have, or somebody else that you're involved with at this time. So it's hanging on to stuff that you don't need, that's not serving any purpose in your life at this moment. But apart from that, it may just be that you need to spend time in nature, or you need to be doing spiritual practices or meditation in nature, or enjoying healing in nature, or natural remedies around healing. But it's everything to do with nature and the outdoors, gardening, hands in the soil, anything like that, spending time on the land, growing your own food, just spending time close to nature, however that applies for you, okay? Apart from that, again, it could also be that you just need to be strong at this time. You need to take a practical approach to whatever is going on in your life. You want to bring stability in. You want to be seen as stable, and you need to stabilize your inner self as well. This is the long game. This card is not a quick fix of anything. It's about being responsible and organized. So it really is, it's a kind of an earthy card, and it's a stabilizing influence, and you need to bring that in. It's also about home comforts. You like to have your home comforts around you. So if you lack that in your inner self, your little home comforts and things that give you pleasure, if you lack that in some way, bring it in for yourself at this time, because you may just need it right now. Okay, Aquarius, I hope you enjoyed that. Please look after yourselves. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. If you like and share, then it escalates the reading through other channels and people get to see it. But otherwise, have a wonderful month and take care, and I will see you next time.